Dan Labbe alongside Chris Fedor here at Cleveland Clinic Courts. The Cavaliers have introduced number 0, Kevin Love, their new power forward. And Chris, David Griffin said something very interesting to kind of start things off. This was the culmination of almost a year or more of trade talks. This team wanted Kevin Love. Yep. LeBron or no LeBron, they wanted Kevin Love.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was the missing piece on the team for the last year and a half. You know, you had the guards, you had Dion Waiters, Kyrie Irving. What you needed was that big guy, somebody who could score underneath. Part of the reason why the Cavs went out. They explored bringing in Andrew Bynum to see if they could bring him in and be that back-to-the-basket type of offensive scoring presence. Didn't work out as well as they envisioned, and now you've got a guy in Kevin Love who's the best player at his position. And when you do complete deals like this, it does take a lot of background check, and it does take a lot of hard work and talking to a lot of people. This is a guy who obviously has been what David Griffin considers a perfect fit for this basketball team and what he wants to do.
And another guy who also considered Kevin Love a perfect fit, guy who just came home, LeBron James. He called up Kevin Love, apparently, according to Love, the day that he made his decision to come back, and Kevin Love said, "I'm in."
Yeah, and that was all that LeBron needed to know. And there were questions about Kevin Love. A lot of people brought those questions up. Can he play enough defense? He hasn't been on that postseason stage, but LeBron forged a relationship with Kevin Love. 2012, they played on the Olympic team together, and LeBron knows what Kevin Love brings. He knows how good he is. He knows what kind of fit he is, and I expect Kevin Love to take on the role of Chris Bosh, and LeBron learned the last 4 years how important a guy like Chris Bosh is, especially playing alongside him. So it was obvious that LeBron really wanted a guy like Kevin Love to take that Bosh role.
And as good as Chris Bosh is, and I know you love Chris Bosh, Kevin Love is a much better player than Chris Bosh as well. You know, Chris, I think what really stands out about that is LeBron James, his first time here, wasn't much of a recruiter.
Yeah.
Now his sway has really increased around the league, and you're seeing him bring in some of those guys he had in Miami. You're seeing him call up Kevin Love, and Kevin Love says, "I'm in."
Yep.
You know, maybe that was a big reason why Kyrie Irving decided to re-sign. Maybe he got wind that maybe LeBron wants to come back. A lot going on, and most of it thanks to LeBron James.
And Kevin Love even mentioned that today. He said, hey, part of this was the beginning. Kyrie, he had to sign his max extension. Kyrie signs his max extension. Now all of a sudden the Cavs are more appealing to LeBron. Of course, home was always going to be in it, but you had to have some basketball reasons as well, and Kyrie's commitment was the start of that. And Kevin Love alluded to that, and I think you're right, Dan. The fact that Mike Miller is here, and James Jones is here, and Shawn Marion's going to be here, that's all LeBron James. The fact that Kevin Love is here right now, and it's almost surreal to think about this big three, but the fact that he's here, that's all LeBron.
And of course, this organization knows when you have LeBron James, when you have Kevin Love, when you have Kyrie Irving, you bring in guys like Mike Miller, even a guy like James Posey who's going to be on your bench. I mean, that's big. You're trying to win a championship, and that's how this organization is talking right now.
Yeah, and they have to be talking that way. Those are the expectations when you put together the most talented roster in the NBA, in my opinion. It's the best duo in the NBA. You talk about LeBron James and Kevin Love, right? It's the best trio in the NBA when you toss in Kyrie Irving in that mix. It's the best starting five when you throw Anderson Varejao and Dion Waiters. And it's the best overall team because your bench depth has been bolstered this offseason. It could be getting even better if Ray Allen decides to come to Cleveland. So when you've got the best team in the NBA and the most talented roster in the league, of course you're going to be talking championships.
Did I just hear you cite Dion Waiters?
I did,
as
yes.
one of the reasons this is the best starting five in the NBA.
Right, and I tossed him in there, though.
LeBron does everything. He changes everyone's opinions. He changes everyone's minds. David Griffin said they've been working on this trade for a while, but does Kevin say, yes, I'll come to Cleveland if LeBron's not here?
Does he say yes? No, probably not. Kyrie Irving's a draw. There's no question about that, especially when you talk about that point guard and that big. But I think the one thing that really pushed Kevin Love over the top, it's an opportunity to play with the best player on the planet.
Yep.
Who doesn't want that opportunity? And yeah, it comes with pressure, and it comes with increased expectations. But Kevin Love knows he's been in Minnesota the last 6 years floundering on a team that doesn't have a lot of talent. He had to watch Ricky Rubio shoot jumpers and clank them off the rim. He had to watch the Derek Williams experiment where all he could do was run and jump and dunk a little bit. He didn't have a lot of talent around him, so I think he welcomes the opportunity to play with some of the best players in the NBA, especially LeBron.
All right, last question here. You wrote the other day, championship or bust for this team.
Yeah.
You still think that a team that doesn't have a lot of experience, do they have to win a title this year for this trade to be a success?
I think so, actually, Dan, and I understand what a lot of people are saying. It's going to take some time to come together. They don't have the experience. Kyrie hasn't been on that stage. Dion hasn't been on that stage. Kevin Love hasn't been on that stage. But I think some of their issues are going to be worked out in the regular season. Obviously, you're not going to know how Kevin Love and some of these guys are going to react to the postseason until they get there. But the chemistry thing, that's what the regular season is for. Adjusting to new roles, that's what the regular season is for. And I think by the time the playoffs roll around, some of those things will already be figured out. And some team in the NBA has to figure out in a 7-game series, how are we going to exploit any weaknesses of this team 4 times in a 7-game series? And I just don't think there's anybody that can do that, because I don't think the Cavs have enough weaknesses that can be exploited. They've got shooters, they've got drivers, they've got guys underneath, they've got the complete package here.
Took a long time. Kevin Love, though, he is officially a Cleveland Cavalier, introduced today at Cleveland Clinic Courts. He will also officially wear number 0. We'll have full coverage of the press conference at cleveland.com/Cavs. For Chris Fedor, I'm Dan Labbe.